So in this part 4, let's understand the effect of blue buckets and green ruler on coloring in Tableau, which is this marks card area where I've just dropped one discrete field. So let's get into Tableau to see how this works. This is our traditional just simple bar chart. So let me remove the color so that it is clear to you what this is. This is a simple chart. So what I've done is I brought department and put it on color. So what happens is Tableau is assigning a single color for each of the departments. And then if I go to the same chart and instead of placing department, I brought salary, which is here, right? So let me remove and show you the effect. It's a normal thing. And then I put it on color. It is giving me a single color, which is going from light blue to dark blue. Why is it and what is the difference? So if you remember our rule, blue bucket, right? So that means in case of a blue, we are going to list each of the individual values, and generally when you are going to list individual values, we assume there would be a handful of them. Tableau expects that you might have at most 20 values that you would put it on color. So Tableau has created two palettes, one containing 10 different colors, another one containing 20 colors. Depending on the number of values in your dimension, it is gonna pick one of these palettes and then give it to you. Whereas if you are dealing with the green ruler, the values can be from minimum to maximum. So if you go here, for examples, we are talking about 12,000 to 72,000 in this view. But if I change it to something else, for example, if I just bring this instead of this employee number, now the values change differently, right? So Tableau cannot really know in advance how many values would be there, nor can it really limit, because you could have more than 20 values. And then choosing a different color for each of these bars can be really, not very meaningful. So Tableau decided to choose a single color, but then use a gradient thing going from light to dark, right? So it typically uses a single color, except in cases things like profit, which goes from minus to plus, it can use a color plate, which is called a diverging array of color plates. So let's click on this and understand how this thing works. So if you see here, there are palettes which are just single item, right? So that is what is leading to what we are seeing. And then you have two color things, which is orange blue diverging gradually going from one end to another. All of these are what's called sequential palette. They start at one end, go at the other end, typically like our ruler, right? So that is why whenever a green item, which is green ruler, is dropped on color, the behavior is there is a min to max. There are two ends of the spectrum. Tableau does exactly the same thing in terms of picking up a palette. It picks up a palette which has this infinite possibility of different colors, which are gradually changing from one end to another. Whereas if I go to if I go to a discrete item, in this case, if you see here the palettes, so there is a Tableau 10, as I've told you, this has 10 values, as you can see here, then there is 20 values, and then there's variation of all of this. There's classic 10, there is all of these variations. Here the idea is each item has an individual value, so that we have different colors. Typically it is going to pick different colors, because the idea is between 5 different departments, there's no really relation to grade them in a sequential shading kind of a thing. They are very distinct, so we want to use distinct colors. So that's the logic Tableau is using to pick up colors. So just to summarize the simple rule, the blue buckets when dropped on colors will result in different colored buckets, like we have seen in the picture, if you remember here. So 4 colors, if you drop them, there is going to be 4 different colors. Whereas if you drop a green ruler, it is going to result in something which is like a sequential, gradient kind of a coloring. You can change them. There are a number of palettes available. As I've said, the maximum in terms of a dimension is 20. Even 20 is a bit too much, I think. So what is the use of really doing color like this? Is this a good practice? Not definitely. I wouldn't recommend you to use colors like this. Typically you should not use colors. It doesn't add any information. One nice way to use color in a bar chart is to, for example, break the bar, each individual bar, to in terms of some composition. For example, I want to break it up by gender. I can drop it, then we call what's called technically a stacked bar. You take each bar but then break it down in terms of whether it is male or female. As you can see here, if I click male, you see only male values. F gives you only female values. This is one nice way to use color. Color is also very useful in case of a line chart to really split them. So these are the uses of colors, but the simple rule is discrete versus continuous. Blue buckets will result in discrete colors, and then green ruler will result in a diverging sequential palette of colors.